So I'm making this video for myself, and I do not know why, but my brain's telling me to do it. It is January 10th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Tuesday, April 9th at 12:11 a.m. Thursday, May 2nd, 4:37 a.m.
July 19th, 2024 at 2:16 p.m.
And Wednesday, July 24th at 12:35 a.m.
July 27th at 3 p.m.
This is after the Lil Wayne concert. It is 4:12 a.m. Thursday, July 25th. Friday, August 2nd at 12:29 a.m. Monday, August 5th at 10:40 a.m. It is September 10th at 10:42 p.m. It is September 19th at 2:28 a.m. So it is Tuesday, October 8th at 4:03 a.m. Today is Saturday, November 23rd at 3:28 a.m. We're fine though. We're pushing through. We'll make it. Wish we could go back to normal, but you know, shit happens. Right when I think I have the grip on it, right when I think I have every piece of info that I need to help me through this, something new pops up and slaps me in the fucking forehead. Well, hello there. This is my first big project on YouTube. I thought that my last YouTube video was my biggest project, but that was just the appetizer, and I thought it was the entree. I went through around 2 hours of footage and skimmed through for funny moments in that video, but for this video, it took a lot of skimming through 12 hours of videos. The reason why is because ever since I've been going through this stage in my life, I started doing a lot of journaling and a lot of video journals as well. So anytime I had a panic attack or I needed to document something going on, I just turned on the camera and started talking. So let's just tell the story, shall we? Back on March 25th, 2005, I appeared in the world in a random town in Virginia. I had a pretty normal childhood, just, playing with toys, going to school, living and learning how to survive and stuff. And then my parents got divorced, we moved to Florida. And then after spending some time in Florida, we moved to North Dakota. And then right after we moved to North Dakota, I started showing signs of something going on with me. My mom didn't know what was going on, but she didn't think much of it until I started missing a lot of school. And I mean a lot of school. I think I missed over half a year, multiple school years, and I still somehow passed. I'm just built different, I guess. I don't know. That's not something to flex about, but Mom took me to the doctor and they looked at me and said, "You have ADHD, here's some Adderall." I turned into a robot that just stared at a TV. I don't process anything, I just stared. And then I threw it up and didn't want to take it again, so we went back to the hospital and they told me, "Here's Adderall, but it's slightly different. It's extended release. So it just slowly goes into your system. That will change everything." It changed to nothing. I felt the exact same way, but I just, didn't throw up because it wasn't that overwhelming. But I still didn't like it, and I was losing weight, so I just stopped taking it and everything was fine. Until, out of nowhere, I started getting more and more depressed, more anxious, and I didn't know how to deal with it, so I just kind of started hiding in my room, not really talking to anybody about it, and putting on a fake smile, and nobody knew that nobody knew that I was depressed. Nobody knew that I had anything wrong with me. Everybody thought that I was just a normal person with no screws loose. And then out of nowhere, my stepdad gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and that is the start of the end. I start smoking a lot of the Mary Jane, and I start just not really being productive. I hung out at friends' houses, just sitting on a recliner, smoking a bunch of weed, falling asleep, waking up, smoking more weed, falling asleep, and then waking up and smoking more weed, and then playing video games, and then going home a week later, not remembering the past week. And eventually, my stepdad passed away, and then it just nosedived even more from there. I started smoking more and more weed. I was spending around $500 every 2 weeks just to keep up with how much I was smoking. And it would help, at least a little bit. Even if I didn't get baked out of my mind, it was still helping calm my thoughts at least a little bit, and it was the only escape I found that would somewhat help me out. No medication, no drink, no food, no music, no TV show, nothing could help me the way marijuana did. So anytime I was anxious, anytime I was depressed, or anything would go on in my life that I couldn't deal with, I would go to marijuana and I would just smoke the pain away pretty much. And I started getting extremely depressed, and weed wasn't helping as much as I wanted it to. So I decided to plan the day I was leaving the earth. I didn't have a full concrete plan, but I was planning on, by the end of this week, I will not be alive anymore. It was a very dark time in my life, but a couple days before that happened, I got a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, and it is a girl that I had a crush on 2 years prior. When I met her, it was like love at first sight. But I was kind of screwing with my ex at the time, and I was too nervous to talk to her before I started dating my ex again, so it was not just a good timing to ask her out or anything. So when I saw her again at the fair, right before, I'm about to commit scooter ankle, it's pretty perfect timing, and I take that as a sign to just throw all of my cards on the table and hope to God everybody is terrible at poker. So I threw all my cards on the table, I got nothing to lose, and I end up going on a date with her, and then we end up having our first kiss, and I end up doing every one of my firsts with that girl. I got extremely attached to her because she was my everything, literally. It was first kiss, first everything. And I just fell in love very, very fast, and she started showing signs of some red flags. And I started noticing those red flags and calling out the red flags, but she had two options when I would notice red flags about her. One, flash me her tits and hope to God that I stop talking about what I'm talking about. Or number two, cry and pray that I don't see through her bullshit. And usually I didn't see through both of those. I would just kind of see tits and turn off my brain, or I would see her crying and feel terrible and forget that I was even mad or that I saw a red flag and just make her feel better. And when I finally got done with that bullshit, I called her out on it, and I just broke down to her and told her she needs to get her shit together. I'm gonna find somebody that will love me for who I am and not lie to me and manipulate me and just be kind of an asshole. And she took that opportunity to randomly drop a bomb that she has had feelings for somebody else for a month. And then I got word from one of my friends that she was actually fucking with one of her best friends and kind of cheating on me. So this was very overwhelming, so I started drinking and smoking a lot more until eventually the ticking time bomb finally reached its end and blew up in my fucking face. We break up. It's a very messy, confusing, and annoying breakup story, but that's a story for a different time. And I go into a deep, dark depression of just sadness, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I start hiding in my room. Every time I go over to my friend's house, I just put a hood over my head and hide in the corner playing on my phone. I'm not talking to my family, I'm not talking to anybody. And my ex-girlfriend was the one that broke me out of my shell to talk about my feelings with my family and friends, and it just felt like now that she was gone, I couldn't do anything right. But obviously I was wrong. She was a bitch. But then I finally move on with my life, and I start feeling a little better. I'm hanging out with my friends more, I'm working on myself, and I'm making money at my very good job. And then next thing you know, I decide to tinker with a little substance called mooshrooms. and I decided to take a dose like I've done many times before one night after work. So I take a dose and I lay down and I start watching some Mr. Beast videos on YouTube, and I start smoking a bowl, having a good night. And then next thing you know, I start feeling my heart pound a little harder than usual, my vision gets blurry, I get very lightheaded, and I feel like I'm gonna pass out and stop breathing for some reason. So my only course of action is to call 911 or run into the shower with all my clothes on. I ran into the shower with all my clothes on. It was freezing, it was disorienting, and I didn't know what to do, but I felt like I was dying, so I didn't care what was going on. I was going to survive. I ended up just standing in the cold-ass shower for like 45 seconds, jumping out, getting new clothes on, and running into my mom's room telling her I took too many drugs and I'm freaking out. After 6 hours of her consoling me, telling me that I'm not dying, finally I calmed down and went to my room and laid down, went to sleep. Oh, I just thought that was a fluke. I thought that was just a random thing that would never happen again, just a random occurrence that we don't need to look deeper into. And then I need to get a new job. Something happens with my prior one, so I get an interview at Olive Garden. My sister has been working there for a couple weeks now, so they know her and like her, so I have a good chance. I get an interview, walk in, talk to the girl for around 3 hours, and she asks me if I want to do my first shift that day, right then and there. So I say, fuck it, why not? And I get back there and start busting my ass and doing my job perfectly the first time I ever did it. And then my heart starts beating fast, I can't breathe, my vision gets blurry, I'm dizzy as shit, and I feel like I'm dying. Tell my manager, and she tells me to sit down and drink some water for a second, I'll be okay. That's exactly what I do when I sit in an Olive Garden booth, thinking that I am going to die of a heart attack, a stroke, a pulmonary embolism, a collapsed lung, something on this giant list of symptoms I found on WebMD. I can't breathe, I don't know what's happening, I try to call my mom and my sister and they're busy, so they don't answer. I tell my manager I need to go home, she sends me home, I end up going over to my friend's house and calming down for a little bit. I hang out there for a little bit and I get calmed down, and then I finally head home, and I think it's just a fluke, it's just 2 times, and then it won't happen again. And then the Minneapolis trip. My friend decided she wanted to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota for her birthday party, so we all planned a giant road trip going to the Mall of America, getting an Airbnb with a hot tub, and having a great time. And that sounded amazing, so I get ready to, go on this trip, but then I realize I don't know what the fuck is going on with me. I don't know these are panic attacks yet. I've had panic attacks before this, but they've been mild, and I don't even know if they were panic attacks. Maybe I was just anxious or nauseous or didn't eat that day. I don't know. But now, present day, I definitely did have panic attacks before the beginning of this year, but they weren't as bad, and I just kind of shrugged them off as little anxiety moments. But yes, I have had panic attacks before this entire situation started at the beginning of 2024. But anyways, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know if I have a heart condition, some type of, lung thing going on. I don't know, but for some reason, I sometimes struggle to breathe. My heart beats weird, I get lightheaded, and I can't see correctly. And on top of that, I feel like I'm dying. Like, I seriously feel like my heart is gonna stop and an elephant is sitting on my chest. Like, what is going on? Do I need to go to the ER? But I just decide to shrug it off and say, nah, I'm good, I'll be fine, and I just go on the trip thinking nothing will go wrong. And immediately, right when I get in the car to go on to the trip, I immediately regret my decision, because I start what is a week-long panic attack, or however long we were in Minneapolis, was a giant panic attack, non-stop. I had maybe a couple breaks, but most of the trip I could barely breathe with the amount of anxiety I was going through. The only time I could mostly breathe was maybe at night or maybe when I was sleeping. I could barely eat because of how anxious I was, so I had to live on breakfast drinks and tiny bites of pizza every once in a while. We ended up getting Mexican one night, and I ate like a third of it and then ended up throwing it away. And then on top of that, the panic attacks got so bad that I didn't even want to smoke weed. I didn't even want to take a dab or anything. I denied it multiple times, and my friends were looking at me like I committed second-degree murder, because I never deny a dab. But yeah, so that's not good. So I just kind of power through it, try my best to just ignore it. It was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. It was one of the most painful experiences, just not being able to breathe and you're so far away from your safe place. It's just terrible. So I finally get back into town and I plan to go to the doctor because I'm done with dealing with all of this and I'm gonna get some answers. But my mom tells me I'm gonna need to get a blood test. And needles to me is like telling me I'm going to need to just sit down in front of Michael Myers and have him stab me around 70 times and put me up on his wall like a trophy bear that you shot in Montana. I don't want to schedule that. That's like scheduling a panic attack. So they tested every single thing that they could without taking blood and said that I was as healthy as could be. And so I moved on, thinking that maybe they would just go away. And they didn't. Flash forward to my birthday on March 25th, and I did not know what I wanted to do for my birthday. I got so distracted with everything I was going through, I just didn't have time to plan anything, and I was just disappointed because I didn't want to make any plans with my friends just to have a panic attack or something and ruin the entire thing. But my friends didn't give a shit and made me plan something, so my friends had an idea and told me we are going to a random town in my state, in North Dakota. My friend was in college at the time, so he was stuck around 4 hours away from us, so he couldn't come down for my birthday, so we decided to go to him. But the problem is, his college is in an extremely tiny town with nothing to do. Me and my friend just got a hotel, chilled out most of the time, but on my birthday, we did all get together in the hotel, get some cake and stuff. It was a very fun time. But I actually didn't have any panic attacks during the entire trip, which was great. I just had some minor shortness of breath because of how much anxiety I was going through, but it's fine. And I think I'm finally getting better. These panic attacks are slowing down. I went through the entire trip for my birthday without one. I think I'll be good. And then they go into overdrive. They are starting to get worse, to the point where I'm calling out of work because they are so bad I can't even take a shower, I can't get up to go to the bathroom, I'm scared to even move because I'm scared I'm going to move wrong and my heart is going to stop. Makes no sense, but that's exactly what it felt like. I was tempted to call 911 every 15 seconds because I felt like I was dying and nobody could tell me otherwise. There is a long-ass list of all of the symptoms that I was going through almost every single time I was going through a panic attack. I'll try to list off as many as I can. Shortness of breath, chest pain, chest pressure, lightheadedness, blurry vision, sharp pains around your body, it could be anywhere, nausea, feeling of impending doom, hyperventilating, being so warm it feels like your blood is boiling and you're burning alive. And there's probably a couple I missed, but you get the idea. There's a lot of shit that you go through all at once. And that's basically the story of how my panic disorder journey started. Now, how did it start getting better? Alright, it is a new day. I'm tired, and my hair is not cooperating, so we're gonna have to deal with the hoodie on today. The lighting is terrible. Unless I Oh, there you go. Okay, that's better. In April or May of 2024, I started having more and more panic attacks, more and more frequently. And it was getting to the point where I couldn't handle it. I was having to quit my job. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep correctly. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do because I was just plagued by the pain and the anxiety that comes with panic attacks. So having no other option, I decided to look into therapy for the 15th time after so many times of it not working and doing nothing and just taking my money. And I don't find anything, so I decide, alright, I'm gonna just find a new job and deal with it. So I find this temporary contract job at Walmart. I go there and I figure out the job is just taking paper price tags and putting digital ones there instead. Doesn't sound that hard, so I start doing the job, and for some reason I am having panic attack after panic attack throughout the entire night. Just can't breathe, my heart hurts, everything is hurting, I can't stand up for too long because I'm just so lightheaded. but I power through multiple days of this job because it is pretty good pay, and I just, need money, and I want to be useful other than just sitting at home being an anxious mess. When I got the job, I got an app because I didn't work for Walmart. I worked for a different company that was working with Walmart. So I got the app, and it said that I worked from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so every day I left at 6 a.m. And then the third day I was working, I had 2 weeks left of this job, and it hit 6 a.m. and I'm feeling really, really shitty. So I grab all my stuff and I walk towards the front doors. And then my friend that I was working with at the time said, "Yo, can I get a ride with you?" I said, "Yes." So we start walking towards the front door. Right when we walk outside, the manager that was in charge of everybody that had disappeared for 3 hours while we were working popped up out of nowhere and asked where we were going. We told him we were leaving because that's what our contract says, is that we leave at 6 a.m. And he proceeds to fire us on the spot, say we're not getting paid, and then start talking mad shit to me and my friend. It really does not go very well. I start telling him very graphic insults that I can't repeat on YouTube, or I will probably get the video taken down. But let's just say I was not happy, and I called the company that I was working for, and they said I was definitely getting paid, and they do not know why the Walmart manager would say that, but they contacted the Walmart, and supposedly there might be a class action lawsuit, or a lawsuit with the company I worked for in Walmart, but I don't know because I'm not in the loop at the moment. I did get paid and everything, but it was one of the worst 4 days ever since the panic attack started. Until later, but we'll get to that later. I end up just coping with the panic disorder, not really digging deep into it, just thinking it's anxiety or I'm gonna die from a heart condition that the doctors haven't found yet. And then the fair comes around in my state, or my town, and I was very excited because Lil Wayne and MGK were performing at this fair, and I was very excited to go. So I go to the Lil Wayne concert and have the biggest panic attack of my life because the first time we went, Lil Wayne didn't even fucking show up. And then after a couple days, when we finally got to the concert, guess what? There was so many problems that some people actually had to go into the walk-in clinic because the bass was so loud it caused chest pain. So it was just a really fucked up situation in general, and it sucked. I had one of the biggest episodes that I've ever had, and it was very painful, and I thought I was gonna die in the middle of a sweaty, smelly concert crowd. It was not fun. But then the fair goes on, I go to the MGK concert, and I have a great time. So it's like sometimes I freak out, and other times I'm fine. So it's just confusing as all hell. No matter what the situation is, sometimes I freak out and sometimes I don't. So it's like a flip of a coin no matter what, and it's just so annoying because I can't prepare for it. One day I can go to Walmart and be completely fine, have fun, go shopping, go grab some stuff and leave and have a great day, and then the next day I go back to Walmart and I'm having a fucking panic attack to the point where I have to leave and just drop all the stuff I was about to buy. So I finally look at therapy options again, and I can't find anything, so I just break down to my mom telling her that I can't handle it anymore and I need her to help me. And so she goes online, does the research, and finally finds a therapy place worth looking at. My mom didn't check for other therapy places, like, during this entire situation, because, one, we didn't exactly know what it was. We didn't know if it was anxiety, depression, and pretty much we didn't know if it was mental or physical. And so we didn't want to go to therapy, spend a bunch of money to figure out it was actually just like low potassium or something, which actually I did have, but it didn't solve any of the problems I was going through. But finally I get an appointment, go in, and they tell me that I'm pretty fucked up and that I need some medication, or they would like me to try some medication just to kind of regulate my brain. And they said they wanted to put me on medication. The first question that I asked was, am I going to be able to smoke and or drink while on the medication? Because I don't want to be, like, held in a corner, not able to, go have fun or do what I want just because, I'm mentally fucked up. I don't want to have to deny taking a shot with my friends or smoking a bowl or something like that just because I need to take some medication to feel normal. So pretty much she just said that she was going to start me on a medication that I can smoke and or drink on if I wanted to. I just got to keep it, in moderation. And if that medication doesn't work, then we'll just go down the list of ones that I can smoke and drink on. And if those don't work, then sadly I will have to go to the ones that, I can't. So, I guess we'll have to find out what happens. But guess what? I got lucky, and my first medication I tried, it worked. So that's cool. Before we even figured out what medication would work with my DNA, they had to swab my mouth and send it into a lab, and in the meantime, I got some Xanax. So anytime I was freaking out, she just told me to pop a Xanax and I would be fine. So, prescribed, obviously, so we're good. So I go through a couple weeks with the Xanax just as an emergency med. I only needed it a couple times just for high anxiety situation. And then I get another appointment with my doctor, and she goes, yo, I got a medication for you, let's try it out. And it worked, and it was great, and I felt normal, and I started slowly improving. And then I started seeing a therapist. I ended up getting diagnosed with, panic disorder, but not panic disorder. They just kind of put it in anxiety and depression. It's not like an actual diagnosis. It's in the criteria of depression and anxiety. So and then I got diagnosed with BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, which is a fun thing to have to deal with, but we're living. And after getting those two diagnoses, or however the fuck you say that word. But after finding out those two things were wrong with me, it made a lot of sense, and it opened up a lot of possibilities for improvement. And I started improving dramatically. Right when I started taking medication, I noticed I was getting more and more productive, and I was still not smoking weed at this time. I was still on that little tolerance break because I was too scared to take a hit, because every time I took a hit, it would just trigger a panic attack on command. It was not, any 50-50 most of the time. It was mostly just panic attack immediately. I was not smoking for around a month and a half to 2 months at this point. I wanted to try again because I thought that maybe with this medication in my system, I won't freak out when I smoke. So I was about to try it, but then I decided I'll just wait a little bit longer. And then finally, after around 3 months of letting the medication just kind of find its home inside of my DNA and my brain and all of that shit, I finally decided to slowly introduce my body back to THC. And let's just say, it was a fun time. And I mean that seriously and sarcastically, and what I mean by that is that I was freaking the fuck out the first couple times I smoked. Immediately got dizzy, just lightheaded, heart racing. It fucking sucked, but I got through it pretty fast, and I was able to enjoy the high after, so that was pretty fun. And then eventually, every time I smoked, I realized that the anxiety was slowly getting more and more manageable, and I was able just to smoke and ignore the anxiety and enjoy my time. And I'm not saying that medication was the almighty solution for this entire situation, because I haven't even gotten to what I had to do also to get better. One of my friends started getting into holistic healing, which is like the spiritual, Reiki healing stuff. And I didn't really understand it, but he saw me going through this hard time and told me I should try it, specifically this thing called Kambo. It's pretty much like it's way more in-depth, and it sounds actually like manageable, and it sounds professional, but the way I like to say it is they take a punk that you get at Memory Fireworks to light fireworks, they poke you in the arm and burn some skin off your arm, and then put some frog poison on those burns, and then sit you down and just wait like 30 to 45 minutes while the poison makes you feel like shit and throw up probably, and just go through an episode of just pain and suffering and expelling all of the bad stuff in your body, and then you feel great for a couple weeks, and then you have to do it again. I'm good. Yeah, I'll just stay home. And I just kept saying no. I didn't even want to smoke weed when he started talking to me about putting poison on my arm, so I wasn't down for that. So I started doing some meditation, some Reiki appointments. I started doing more spiritual things, It was pretty cool. And it started making me realize more about my mental state and my physical state. It wasn't like this crazy medicine that everybody needs to try, but it did actually help me out pretty good. It helped me out more than medication, I would say. And then I started doing actual meditation, like guided meditation. I started doing the video journals. I started trying to manage my diet by eating a little healthier and drinking more water and just watching what I'm putting in my body. I started smoking again, yes, but I started smoking less at the same time because I want to enjoy life at the same time as, smoke every once in a while. But I don't want to live through my entire life baked out of my mind. So I just go day by day. When I get anxious, I realize it, I confront it, and I move on. If I need to sit down or meditate or breathe or any of the sorts, then I do that. And I talked about it a little bit, towards the end, but let's get into chapter 3, and that's how to stop a panic attack, avoid them, or just, treat them. Otherwise known as how to calm the fuck down. Don't have panic attacks.
Give it to me!
First one I like to call the waterboard, because pretty much you waterboard yourself or you have somebody else waterboard you, but not actually waterboard. Let me explain. So pretty much if you're alone and you're having a panic attack, get some cold water, bathtub, a container, sink, whatever, and splash your face with cold water. It can reset your fucking brain or whatever, and it can just jolt your body into a survivor mode and kind of slow down your heart rate and can calm you down pretty fast. If you're with a friend, just have them throw cold water at you. It's pretty self-explanatory. Number 2, sour candy. Warheads, toxic waste, sour gummy worms, anything that just makes your mouth go. And the reason why is because just the pain of the sour and it just kind of distracts your brain from freaking out about the panic attack, at least temporarily. For me, I just used it to kind of delay the freak out, the full freak out, for when I was safe at home. So I just kept eating sour candy until I got home if I was at work or at the store or something. So it works pretty well, but let's go to number 3, breathing techniques. And I don't mean deep breathing, just take deep breaths. I mean 4-4-4 breathing, which is breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Or you could alternate in for 4, hold for 2, out for 4. Just keep inhale and exhale for 4. The hold is your choice. It could just kind of calm down hyperventilation because it keeps you breathing at a certain rate instead of trying to breathe a certain way, and it helps a lot. So, yeah. Number 4 is meditation. I talked about this in chapter 2 a little bit. Trust me, great method. If you go on YouTube and look up guided meditation, they have a lot on there that is pretty cool and will actually help if you just listen to the words, lay down, get into a safe space, and just listen and just do the actions they tell you. It can calm you down, slow your heart rate, put your breathing back to a normal level. It's pretty cool, so just try it out if you ever have a chance. And number 5 is to talk to somebody. So I have found that the best method is just to keep yapping. So just look at somebody, your mom, your dad, your sister, your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever the fuck it is, and just keep talking about what's going on. And just let them know in advance when you do have panic attacks, not to tell you that you need to go to the ER, not to ask you why you're having it, or any of those triggers that can make it worse, and then just keep talking to them, and then they'll just keep responding you're fine, you're good, and then if you just keep talking and keep talking about it, eventually it'll just go away. And this is in the same spot as just to endure. If you do not have anybody, just sit there, focus on your breathing, and just try your best just to last through it, because it will always go away. The main way to get out of a panic attack is just to distract yourself until it goes away, or have something to help you distract yourself. There is no 100% guaranteed cash back if it doesn't work type method for panic attacks. You just gotta kinda trial and error until you find something that works for you. And I'm probably gonna make some more videos in the future about some other tips and tricks of how to get out of panic attacks, because there's a lot. But I guess it's time for chapter 4, I think. Or is it chapter 3? Is it I think it's chapter 4. So it's been like a week. I really do not know what happened. I've been really tired. I did a lot before New Year's Eve and then a lot after New Year's Eve, and now I'm finally able just to kind of chill. My basement flooded, and after my basement flooded, it flooded again, and then we got the shit fixed that was causing the basement to be flooded, and then right after that, my water pump and my belt broke on my car. So we had to get that fixed, and then right after that, one of the cylinders is broken and not working properly, so now the heat is broken. So, you know, I can't catch a fucking break. And on top of that, I've been so disassociated, it's been terrible. I just feel like I'm dreaming almost 24/7. But you know, we're surviving, I guess. Some things may seem impossible at the moment, but if you just take a step back, look at it a different way, or just be patient, eventually you will find a solution. If you told me in January of 2024 that I was going to be back to my normal self almost completely by the beginning of 2025, I would have laughed in your face and said you're crazy. Well, now I'm here at the beginning of 2025, almost completely back to normal. Well, not completely back. I'm way better than I was, and I feel fine, so we're good. No matter how hopeless things seem, no matter how irritating things get, everything will always get better. You just need to keep going. You need to keep pushing through life. I hit my breaking point this year. It was a very hard and annoying year to get through. Thought I wasn't going to survive, honestly. I thought I was going to have to completely change my daily life to survive, or I was going to not survive. There was only two options. Now I am here pretty much back to normal and just doing way better in general, so anything is possible. So if you are out there struggling with mental illness and you feel like everything is hopeless and you do not think you can continue on, keep pushing. There is no excuse not to. Reach out for help, no matter it be a family member, a friend, a therapist, a psychiatrist, a school associate. It can be anybody as long as you trust them. You do not have to suffer alone, and you do not have to suffer in silence without asking for help. For years, I suffered in silence without asking for help, and when I did and it didn't work, I gave up and just dropped to the ground and just put my hands up, surrendering to my anxiety and my mental illness. Till finally, I decided to ask for help one last time, and it finally worked. So no matter what, just keep pushing and keep going. Do not give up no matter what. And if you are struggling and if you need anybody to talk to, I will have my DMs open on Instagram, TikTok, any social media platform. Feel free to message me and open up. I will be here to talk no matter what. I see my platform as an opportunity to spread the struggles of mental illness and help as much as I can. And I can't sit here and offer a 100% guaranteed cure to fix all mental illness, but I can tell my story and how I improved my mental illness enough to function on a daily basis. I just really hope that this video and the videos I will make in the future will at least help one person out there, or at least push somebody to go get help or look at themselves in a different perspective. Because no matter how hard it gets and no matter how terrible life seems at the moment, it can get better. Life can go from rock bottom to the top to rock bottom in less than 10 seconds. You just gotta be patient and you gotta work for it. This was my first big project on YouTube. I was planning on making a completely different video than the one I ended up making. This was going to be a 2-minute TikTok video, and then I decided I was going to do a big project because I've been wanting to do something about mental illness or the struggles that I've gone through throughout my life, and I never had the opportunity or the balls to make a video about it. Every single time I would make a video, the 2 to 3 minutes that I would try to make the video on TikTok would not be enough to tell the story I wanted to tell or to make the video I wanted to make. So I decided to make a YouTube video, and to be honest, this fucking sucked. I'm going to have to figure out how to edit videos because right now I am editing on like 6 different editing platforms and trying my best to Frankenstein all of the parts I've edited on all of the different platforms together to make it one coherent experience. It's not fucking fun, I'm gonna be honest. And you might be asking, why are you using so many different editing platforms? Well, because this editing platform does this thing that I want for the video, and then this one does this thing that I want for the video. Not one editing platform has everything I want, and it's irritating the fuck out of me. But it's fine, I'll figure it out. I figured it out before. I've done more complicated things. I got it. Trust me, you'll be seeing the quality of my content rise over the next months and years. I'm going to be trying my best to make the best quality content I can. I've been making videos on TikTok, which is the most simple platform to make videos on. I would get stoned out of my mind, pull out my phone, think of a random idea for a skit or just a random TikTok, press record, and make a video in less than 30 minutes or maybe 2 to 3 hours depending on what video it was. And piece it together, add some music, some sound effects, do a bunch of cutting and some random edits and shit, and then there you go, make a TikTok video. Now I have to actually set up a tripod, talk to the camera, edit that down. It's a lot, and I have a ring light too, a tripod. It's very professional. And right now, this is the best viewing experience I can give you. I do not have a camera yet. I'm working on it. This is my iPhone. I do not have an actual tripod yet. Again, this is an iPhone tripod. It's a ring light. Don't got that. I got a tiny TikTok microphone. I did not get this on TikTok Shop, thank God. I got it on, well, actually not on anything. I got it at Best Buy. I got it at Best Buy. This video is pretty much my first go at a big project, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I know it was kind of a clusterfuck. There was a lot that, I got off topic on. I'm gonna be honest, I need to start rather writing scripts or get on different drugs because my brain goes a million miles per hour and I cannot keep on a coherent storyline for the life of me. But I really hope you all enjoyed this video, and again, if you are struggling with mental illness, please do not be afraid to go reach out for help or to finally take that step into improving your life. But thank you all for watching, and good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. See ya.